everyone, and welcome to the 52nd episode of Sonic Talk. I am your host, as always, Jason Berry, and with me tonight we have GX.
Hi.
Alex Peel.
Hey.
And as our guest person here, evil Dr. Reef.
Hi.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
I have a minor headache, but aside from that, I'm good. I'm sure I'll feel much better.
Yeah, I heard you were much sicker yesterday.
I get to go to the dentist on Monday and have several teeth removed.
I've had to do that quite a few times over the past 10 years.
Well, if this is a competition, I think I had E. coli this week, so...
Well, you know what? Last year I broke my ankle, so there. I had to get surgery, so I win.
I think, I don't know, Reef, you still might have the better, story.
I was bedridden for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, and then when he's with me at E3, he's like hobbling along quite a bit.
Any case, So
all right. So what we've been playing and seeing. Who wants to start?
How about we have our guest start? Let's just throw him into the deep end.
All right.
Well, I mean, I've been laying on the couch a lot. I've been watching a lot of interesting things since I've been rather bedridden. I started up watching the Orange Islands League of Pokemon, of all things.
Oh my.
And I'm surprised it's a lot better than I remember it, because when I was a kid, I didn't like it because it wasn't tied to a game. And now I'm like, this is kind of an adventure, and I enjoy it.
You know what? That's my only fond memory from the Pokemon anime.
Oh, really?
I didn't even like Pokemon back in the day, but I watched that for some reason, and I liked it. And I enjoyed the adventuring, going to island aspect of it.
Yeah, and it seemed like there was always something very different than what you tend to get in the main sequence of the game or the anime, I suppose.
I kind of it was an interesting one in that it was the section that would almost be like a filler anime where they didn't even have a location that was based on any of the games. So they just kind of had, hey, you know what? Let's just create a place. Create a place for Ash to go because we're still waiting to start Gold and Silver.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it had too much water.
Yeah. As far as I remember, though, that's the only place that he's ever been where he actually won a league.
The one place that's non-canonical.
And another thing I liked about that show was Lapis, because I was in the plesiosaurs back then. Lapis was like a plesiosaur, the turtle shell.
I mean, are you not into plesiosaurs now?
I mean, I'm less into them.
Ah, come on. You can never grow out of plesiosaurs.
Well, I don't know. I'm more of a pterosaur guy now.
I guess that's fair. That's fair.
They fly.
You never grow out of plesiosaurs is just a great statement, regardless of context.
Yeah. In fact, the less context, the better.
Okay. As far as animes go, I just finished watching the 10-episode run of Agretsuko on Netflix.
Oh, so that's how you pronounce that.
And that's how I pronounce it anyway, Agretsuko. Or it's also in Japan, it's Aggressive Retsuko. And for anybody who doesn't know, it's basically an anime about office work and everything, but it's done with these cute little animal characters, and it's done from the people who give you Hello Kitty, Sanrio. Only it's a TV-14, more of an adult cartoon because, there's occasional swearing and alcohol involved. And basically the premise of the show is you got this cute little red panda named Retsuko who's 25 years old, works at an office where she's just constantly berated because she doesn't really stick up for herself that much. And she's got her coworkers that drive her nuts all the time, like the hippo's a big gossiper, and the little cute little deer's a little schemer who's always sucking up to her boss and everything.
And the pig's an asshole.
Right.
As
So
you would
she
expect.
deals with this at night by going into the karaoke bar and just singing death metal.
Well, and the
And her whole
ladies' room.
face
Don't
just
forget
turns into
room.
G's room. Yeah, and the ladies' room too. And it is a hell of a ride. It's just 10, 15-minute short episodes long. I mean, you can literally get through it in about 2.5 to 3 hours. So it's for binge watching. It's pretty good. I really, really enjoyed this one. I mean, it has a lot of, like, besides slice of life and stuff I can relate to as far as work related stuff goes. It's I don't know. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really like it. I've only seen about half of it so far, but it's keeping my attention, and it's ridiculous.
It is. I actually was kind of into it whenever it was just the original Japanese shorts that you could occasionally find fan subbed, but otherwise wasn't released in any sort of official way in the US. So I am extremely, extremely happy that it did get the Netflix pickup and got the actual full kind of a story arc to it that the shorts didn't necessarily have 100%.
Yeah, they can go deeper into the characters this way.
Yeah.
My favorite being Finico, the little sarcastic Fennec Fox, who's always into social media and has that real deadpan laugh, just ha 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 ha.
I suspect she'll be my favorite by the time I get through it. At the moment, I've just seen the first 2 episodes, but as an office humor type show, it is really hilarious.
It's kind of an interesting piece of work to be coming out of Japan that kind of deals with a lot of the ideas of just sexism in the workplace, because you don't normally see that addressed in at least a lot of the anime that comes to the West.
Yeah.
So I can't speak to what is actually on Japanese TV, but it definitely seems like an uncommon theme.
Yeah.
Right. And what's surprising is, I don't know if you watch this guy's Japanese subtitles or the English dub, but the English dub is surprisingly really well done.
Yeah, it's solid.
Oh, yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Roger Craig Smith does the little meerkat guy who sucks up. Is that? He does one of them.
He does a tiger who's trying to encourage this other red
that's
fox
who he was. Okay.
Who's a space cadet to
I was trying to
go out with Retsuko.
The character names were a little bit jumbled up with me.
Erica Mendez, she does the voice of Retsuko. She is kind of slowly becoming one of my favorite English voice actors, because she's done some really great work in anime lately, like Magi and Hunter x Hunter, and she does a really good job in this as well. Although I am wondering, like, who does the voice for the death metal stuff? Like,
it's an actual death.
Yeah,
they got an actual death metal singer to do that.
I know, but I'm wondering, like, did they dub that, or what is that from the Japanese original?
No, that's dubbed. That's dubbed.
Okay.
That's dubbed.
Well, they got a solid guy to do that too.
Okay, has everybody seen Avengers: Infinity War?
Yes,
I have.
Excellent.
I'm going to say that there's very limited context in which we should actually discuss this, considering that this is a podcast. I'm basically saying, hey, no, let's keep spoilers to an absolute minimum.
Okay.
But what about the part where Batman gets punched through the earth by Spawn?
Yeah, dang it, Reef. That's in the second one.
Like, I don't know. Like, I'm going to start spoiling the heck out of this on Monday. So
that's after Disney buys Warner. That's when that happens.
Right.
Oh God, that'll just be the apocalypse of media.
No, that's after. You can't have apocalypse until after the Fox deal goes through and they can get the X-Men stuff.
Damn it!
I know an X-Men reference.
This is the first one of the series where it really can't, like, stand alone. You have to have known these characters, and who they are and what they've been up to from the other ones in order for it to work out, and that's fine.
First one, I feel
that's
like there are. I don't
like
know,
maybe Iron Man 2 and 3, where you need to know the characters a little bit more.
I mean, I feel like Civil War doesn't really stand alone too
That's
well.
true. That's true.
Yeah, Civil War is the one where I'd say you do need the context of the other movies to really get it, but in this one, they don't even really bother introducing anybody. Like, they just pop up, and you just need to know exactly who they are, or else you're going to be lost.
Res. So.
Yeah, and I'll say this: Josh Brolin as is that his name? Josh Brolin, Thanos, the one who's doing Cable too. That was I mean, he was all CGI, but there's times where you just bought into him as being real and being right there. There's it was done. The motion capture and the motion he put into the wall is really well done. I mean, I've seen, like, if you look at Steppenwolf and Justice League, Steppenwolf looks like a CGI video game character throughout the entire movie. You don't believe he's there. With Thanos, you believe he's there. You believe he's fighting these other superheroes.
DC really needs to improve their CGI division, because they have just not been doing well lately.
I think the end of that sentence was DC needs to
improve.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I mean, that goes without saying, but their CGI, especially, like,
big time.
Wonder Woman, their best movie, their CGI just isn't very good. And meanwhile, like, Marvel is making me, like, believe this big purple plum, this big purple raisin on screen is a person. But Steppenwolf, I feel like I'm just watching a World of Warcraft cutscene at best.
Anyway, as far as games I've been playing, there's, of course, Dad of Boy.
I need to play that.
And Yakuza 6.
I need to play that too.
In the Yakuza season. There's only, like, it's weird. There's only 2 editions you can get. You get one that comes with a little art book, which is the $60 version, or you get like a $90 version, which comes with the art book and some, what do they call them, coasters and 2.
Jason, you put the disc is not a coaster. You put it in your system.
Right, but I mean, it comes with like this $30 worth of stuff that, I don't know, if you're a big fan, I guess it's worth it maybe, but that's it. My thing with special editions is if you wouldn't buy it without the game, then it's not worth it on that stuff. So, but as far as the game goes, I mean, it's going great so far. The story, it's probably one of the best stories as far as easy to follow along and everything, and not too heavily involved with the Yakuza as much as the previous ones. It does take like a half hour of prologue before you can actually control Kiryu in this one, so there's a lot there. There are some things missing, like and I think it was Yakuza 0, you had like 4 or 5 different fighting styles that you could choose from to fight all the people who are attacking you in the streets. And this one is just one style throughout the whole thing. It's more simple. It's much more simplified than that. Most of the same games are there: baseball, practice, bowling, and all that. I noticed in the Club Sega machines, the Club Sega arcades, the claw machines are missing now. I can't do the fun little claw machines like before. But they made up for that by including 6 Sega games in the entire thing. Huh. You've got Super Hang-On, Fantasy Zone, Outrun, Space Harrier, Puyo Puyo, and Virtua Fighter 5.
Well, someone's into this.
The full arcade version of Virtua Fighter 5, the last version, which is like Final Showdown or something like that.
They really need
exactly
to make another one.
Or Ultimate Showdown, I forget. But yeah, the Puyo Puyo is kind of interesting because it's Puyo Puyo Tetris version without the Tetris. But everything else is exactly the way it was in that game. So
that's unfortunate.
Same characters. But yeah, it's pretty good so far. I hope this is the last one of Kiryu and they go off to a different city next time, because I am getting kind of bored of that city being this pretty much the same every game. You're constantly, in that open world, but it's like the same open world for 6 iterations now.
Mm.
Okay, anybody else got anything they want to talk about?
Well, I do.
All right.
Well, about a month ago, Microsoft finally brought a bunch of original Xbox games to their backwards compatibility thing that I care about. And I've been playing 2 of them for about the last month or so. Panzer Dragoon Orta, which is basically one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game.
I bought that one.
Blinks the Time Sweeper. And man, Blinks the Time Sweeper, I have such mixed feelings about that game.
It's made by former Sonic team members.
Well, a few anyway. But, it's got some really good ideas. I like the character design for Blinks himself, the monster, to kind of I like how the worlds look. I like the music, and even the game the game's time power ups are interesting. Like Blinks is a cat whose job is to essentially fix time, to kill time monsters and collect time crystals, and he uses those time crystals to access time power. But it's ultimately in that area of the game, how you collect time crystals to get your time powers, that kind of almost breaks the game for me, because it can be so difficult to collect those crystals because of how haphazardly they are sometimes placed on the ground in the stage.
And you can accidentally grab the wrong crystal, and then you're screwed.
There's only really 2 ways to get time powers from time crystals. Collect 3 of the same time crystal and then something else, which gets you 1 time power thing, or collect 2, which gets you 2, or collect 4, and which gets you 2 of the time crystal power things. But anything else, any other combination, and you're just fucked, and you wasted a bunch of the stage's time crystal resources. And if you do that too often, you can't beat the stage, and you have to start over. And that's just super frustrating. And it's just such a shame, because if they just fixed this one problem, I think that Blinks could have been a really fun game, and it's such a shame that they didn't really do that in a sequel. But if you're interested in a unique platforming game that kind of lets you play with time mechanics in a stage, you can rewind. You can use a rewind power to fix areas of the stage that break, and to make monsters go back their previous steps. You can freeze time. You can record yourself so that you can do 2 actions at once. You can fast forward to go really fast and make other things go really fast. But if that sort of thing sounds fun, if being able to mess with time in a platforming game sounds fun, I think it's worth $10. Graphically, it still holds up surprisingly well, like most Xbox games, in my opinion. But it's got some annoying flaws that I really wish they had an opportunity to fix in a later game. Not surprising that Master Chief turned out to be the Xbox's de facto mascot.
R-Tune always had this kind of weird, it always felt like they've been kind of, I'd like to say B tier, but I kind of feel like it's more like C tier.
Well, I feel like they always, Naoto Oshima, he's the guy who runs R-Tune. He seems to have these good ideas, but then doesn't really know how to fully execute them. Like Sonic CD. Sonic CD, I consider a B-tier Sonic game. It has really interesting ideas of kind of these 3 levels layered on top of each other. You can go to the past, present, or future.
And the level design just doesn't make any damn sense.
No, the level design is shit. Level design is complete shit.
It's some of the worst level design I've encountered in a 2D Sonic game. As far as I'm concerned, the Dimps did better most of the time. And so, like, in Blinks, it's kind of a similar problem where the level design can be a bit of a pain. There's some minor collision detection issues that can make shooting objects, which is how you kill enemies, and blow up bombs and stuff, to be really frustrating at times. And, of course, the aforementioned time crystal collection stuff. It comes so close, but not close enough to being a genuinely fun and innovative platformer. I don't know. Like, I guess Naoto Oshima was always better at designing characters than designing games. Unfortunately,
I kind of enjoyed it. Okay, I know what you're talking about in that game. I think it's
like it too.
So.
I'm probably gonna beat, but it could have been so much better if they had just like planned it out better.
Right.
And the other original Xbox game you've been playing is what I've been playing as well.
I was going to skip that one, but Panzer Dragoon Orta, the best rail shooter ever made. It's like this has been a favorite of mine ever since I first played it back in 2003. It's got gorgeous graphics that held up really well. Like, you're playing it now on a modern system on the Xbox One, and it's like they remastered it. It just looks gorgeous still, because like it was originally screen. It was originally in 480p, and like it's just got this really nice visual style that, even though it's kind of meant to be semi-realistic, it manages to hold up better than other games of its day, in my opinion.
Now, this leads me to ask, would this mean that it is now actually up for sale on the Xbox One store as a download as well?
It is.
Okay.
For the first time ever, you can actually buy a download of the damn thing.
Okay.
And I'm so happy.
That is the beauty of the Xbox One backwards compatibility that keeps growing, is that these companies can keep making money off of digital copies of these old games now, and they can reintroduce them to people.
So
I was going to save this for later, but like Sonic Generations is now playable on Xbox One, and in fact, if you have Xbox One X, it plays in 4K.
So this you may know where I'm going with this, but what about my Jet Set Radio future?
Well, I'm crossing my fingers, man. Like, last time around, I believe we got Jet Set Radio digitally, right?
We did, but they completely remade it for like all the systems and PC.
Oh no, that was the Dreamcast version. I thought you meant Future.
No, Jet Set Radio Future is what we're talking about here.
They remade the Dreamcast version. One. But what I'm talking about is, like, I think that was a Microsoft published game. Like, that's probably one of the reasons that Orta was kept silent for so long, is because it was probably because of one of their weird deals.
I didn't think that Jet Set Radio Future was Microsoft published.
It was a Microsoft exclusive. I think that's why. I don't know 100%, but
Jet Set Radio and Sega GT were both packed into the Xbox for a while, but as for publishing rights, I don't know off the top of my head.
Keep talking. I'm going to go check something.
In any case, I guess since he's leaving, I guess I'll explain Panzer Dragoon Orta a bit more. The core, what makes this game so great, isn't the visuals. It's the gameplay is just incredibly smooth and addictive. Like, this is a supremely polished rail shooter that rewards quick reflexes and memorization. It just feels really good to just fly through these intricate post-apocalyptic future bioengineered world and just blow things away. I'm so bad at describing things, and unfortunately, I'm failing this game too, which is why I was going to skip it.
Very gratifying experience.
It's a very gratifying experience, yes, but who else has a game to talk about? Because I'm kind of done.
I do, but I will at least mention that I don't see anything on it that suggests that it is actually published by Microsoft. I guess the only thing that I can really confirm is that, hey, it was a Microsoft exclusive title. I will also note that whenever I opened up my copy, I noticed this, so you'll appreciate this, Alex. Coming in November 2002.
Shenmue?
No, I was holding up the Panzer Dragoon Orta thing, although I guess my screen is mirrored here, so it would have shown backwards.
It actually got delayed to January.
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon Orta was made in a time when Sega would actually delay their games for additional polish.
I really wish I knew what that would have been like.
But man, there's a whole world of lore associated with these games too, which just
you love the series.
I think there's a
series of rail shooters, and as far as I'm concerned, PDO is the best one.
I think there's a good chance Jet Set Radio feature could come in the near future. I mean, I'm shocked that we got so many of the Lucasfilm Star Wars games from Xbox One back on.
Yeah, they're just loading those up.
Since it was Star Wars Day, I ended up picking up the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I was playing that for a while.
Ah, yes.
Which surprisingly probably has more content than the current Battlefront 2.
It does, actually.
Oh, lordy. So, I'm going to start this story off by saying I purchased a new circular saw. And it is going to be related to a game. And the reason why I purchased this new circular saw is I wanted to see what my Switch would look like cut in half. No, that's not it. The reason why I purchased this circular saw is because I am kind of I'm not claiming to be good at it, but I really do enjoy Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh Lord!
Back in the day, I tried it in an arcade, like way in the PS2 era, and one of my big Christmas things that I wanted was I just want to be able to do this at home, and it was the primary reason why I even got a PS2 at all.
Okay, I thought this was going to turn into an extreme Nintendo Labo project.
No, absolutely not. This is the project that is preventing me from getting Labo because of the expense involved. But basically, my mats that I own are old and not particularly good anymore. They're the kind that are just the fabric-style mats. I've never really invested in one of the super nice multi-$100 ones, and those setups are getting harder and harder to actually obtain, especially if you want a decent one.
I'm about to throw out one to a donation box. It's a PS2 one. Do you want one?
No, because the reason why I have the saw is because I found multiple tutorials online for how you can make a DDR pad. So, aside from the fact that I am starting to learn how to work with an Arduino to act as a keyboard between a circuit made out of copper tape and a couple 3D printed parts and some cut pieces of wood.
That guy was a total Arduino, I swear.
That was terrible. That was very terrible, Jason, and you should feel very bad. But
don't let him have his fun.
Somehow
Chris.
I don't.
But actually, for those of you who aren't aware but do enjoy Dance Dance Revolution, there is a piece of freeware software out there called Stepmania. And Stepmania is effectively the engine an engine for PCs to play DDR games, or to play different types of dance games. So ultimately, what you can do after you've installed this software is it comes with like 3 sample songs, and then you go out on the internet and you find all the people who have actually ripped all the DDR songs and their dance routines and everything and load it into the software, and then you basically just have Dance Dance Revolution. So I've been spending the last week or so just kind of downloading a bunch of song packs and preparing to put this big project together to, in all honesty, just try to include a little bit more cardio in my daily routine to just, in a way that I actually find entertaining and enjoyable. And Klex Yoshi in the chat here actually asks, are you going to invest in Waluigi cosplay to enhance your DDR Mario mix experience? And I will say, people have actually compiled the songs from DDR Mario Mix that you can put into Step Mania, and yes, I do have them all. And
Do you have a Waluigi costume?
You actually gave me a Waluigi hat several Christmases ago, so I'm
Too bad, Waluigi
partway there. But the problem is, you can't play as Waluigi, to my knowledge. You play as Mario facing off against Waluigi.
Is
Aww.
Waluigi even in the game?
So,
Waluigi is the primary protagonist of Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix.
Don't know
You-
if you're
you mean
making that up
antagonist?
or not.
Pardon?
I said I don't know if you're making that up or not.
No, he literally is. He is the first first antagonist in that game that Mario originally faces off against.
You said antagonist, right? Because the first
Yeah.
time you said protagonist.
I said protagonist. Multiple people caught me on that, yes.
Now I believe you. Okay.
No, I'm still waiting for Waluigi to be the protagonist of anything.
so
Jeez.
now that I've actually had some time to organize my thoughts, I'm actually more prepared to explain the gameplay aspect of Orta now.
I don't know. Have you actually put some time into it?
Oh yeah, like I've played that game twice by now. And what makes Panzer Dragoon Orta like such a addicting rail shooter is that like it's not just like Star Fox where you go through an area and you shoot enemies and sometimes maybe you get a different path or something, because in this game you have transformation. You have 3 transformations with 3 different power-ups, and sometimes like there are certain areas of the game where you can where you're expected to use one particular transformation. But for the most part, the game's actually pretty open about how you can play. And this can also affect another aspect of the game, which is you can also level up your dragons and make them more powerful as you play. And in addition to that, there's also, of course, a multitude of paths you can take in most of the stages. And so there's like the game is filled with decisions, with gameplay decisions that you can make, even though you're on a very strict path, predetermined path throughout the entire game. And so like every single playthrough can be a little different or very different depending on how you play and what choices you make in regards to your transformations, in regards to how you power up your dragon. And so, like, I've been playing this game for about since 2003. I don't know, 15 years. I don't have the time to make the math in my head, but a long time. I've probably beaten this game about 24 times at least on 3 separate systems at this point.
Nice.
I've logged at least probably 30 hours on this thing, and like it's still not boring to me because of like just how varied this rail shooter can be. And so like in terms of rail shooting design, it's really just the pinnacle of the genre as far as I'm concerned. I really wish Star Fox would learn a few things from it, but I guess Panzer Dragoon Orta is a bit too obscure for that. and now I've got that out of my system. I've done a slightly better job doing that game justice. Okay. We can talk about Sonic now.
Yeah, let's get on to Sonic talk. Okay, we already mentioned Sonic Generations has been added to the Xbox One backwards compatibility list. It's 4K on the Xbox One X, and Casino Night Zone DLC is now free. So if you hadn't gotten that before, you can get it now. It only took 7 years before it became free.
Yeah.
Okay, and on other news, we had a new Sonic Mania trailer with done by Tyson Hess with Mighty and Ray in it, and that was very, very awesome. And we finally got a release date for Sonic Mania Plus, and that is going to be July 17th.
I gotta say, I really like what they've done with Ray in that they've basically made Ray into Super Mario World Cape Mario.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
Though I'm a bit surprised with Mighty that they decided to give him a bounce because
it's basically Sonic's bubble shield, power, but on Mighty.
Yeah.
In Knuckles Chaotix, I think I talked about this last time. He could basically just climb walls by jumping into them constantly. So it seems like they've really changed up his move set, which is, I guess, good because. I guess
you want to make the characters unique.
The bounce attack is probably one of the most natural things you'd think they'd add to Sonic's moveset that they haven't yet.
It's kind of cool if Mike could also, dig into the earth like the drill from Sonic Colors, but I doubt they can incorporate that into.
And as I understand it, they've actually to keep Ray from just flying through stages, they've actually blocked off certain areas of the world from him.
I figured with him gliding, it was just temporary, like with Knuckles.
Well, I don't know. It sounds like you can do it. You can do it for a pretty long time. Like maybe it requires some skill, like Mario's cape thing does, but sounds like you can do it for a while.
Okay. Speaking of Sonic Mania, we also got Sonic Mania Adventures Episode 2 on YouTube now. And so it's the second of the animated Sonic Mania series.
It continues to be good.
Yep. Tails is adorable.
And I love that everything's just like a silent cartoon,
I think we need to stop here for a quick second. Alex, can you repeat that?
Tails is adorable in Sonic Mania Adventures. I can't insult Tails in this. Jesus.
That's very.
I have a recording of that now. I'm going to splice that out of the final cut. Maybe make it my ringtone.
Oh boy.
But aside from this, Tails is still a terrible character, and I hate him.
Boo! And at the end of the cartoon, we get the hint that Knuckles is the next character to show up.
Yes, finally, the best character.
It's kind of interesting the way both the Sonic comic book work and the Sonic Mania Adventures work. Is there, even though it's not game canon in the comics, it's taking place after Sonic Forces. Like Mania is taking place after Sonic Forces as well, but in classic Sonic's world. And in both cases, they're introducing an old character, kind of in a new way in each episode, or in this case, in each issue. Which is something I just thought about that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, since you brought it up, I think it's kind of what I would like to see going forward with this is the idea that if we're going to start differentiating between they're not just time since everything is apparently retconning the history of everything now in such a way that no, it's not time travel, even though we spent the game saying it was time travel. He's from another world. And they're not
me nuts.
They're not. It's not that Sonic ever interacted with humans in his world. It's that they're different worlds. It's like I'm not one to gripe on that kind of stuff. It seems weird, but I am going to say, if they are going to make these different worlds, having a classic Sonic world and a modern Sonic world, What I would like to see them try with this is to split up what characters exist in which.
No.
Like I would like to see the current modern cast being the modern cast, and then in the classic forms, them maintaining the existence of Mighty and Ray and maybe Knack and
So no modern version of Mighty, huh? He gets to just be in the retro world.
At this point, I feel like they kind of missed the boat on having him be in the modern games, just because he was always kind of associated with the Chaotix after the original arcade game. What could he really do now that there are Chaotix in that world? But I basically would like it as an excuse to say, here's the classic Sonic characters that are a little bit more obscure. Here's your Mighty, here's your Ray, here's your classic style Amy, here's your Sonic the Fighters characters, that kind of stuff. And then maybe keep some of the modern stuff at least a little bit separate, because that's going on its own little trail. It's my way. It's kind of my compromise of saying, well, they are clearly not interested in bringing back all of these old characters in the modern format. Why don't we bring them back in the classic format in a way where they kind of seem to fit?
Yeah, that makes sense. Although, there's something I noticed. This is in our show notes. But, oh crap, someone from Sonic Team, I don't know what his title was, but he worked on Sonic Heroes, Maikawa. Actually, on Twitter, he revealed what the original lineup of the Sonic Heroes teams could have been. For one, there was originally going to be apparently 5 teams. And it was going to consist of course, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. But the others were going to be Rouge, Cream, and Amy, Chaos, E102, and Big, Bean, Bark, and Fang, and then finally Mighty, Ray, and Metal. Now this is like really early in Sonic Heroes development, apparently. So like, I not something to take too seriously, I guess, but at the very least, at one point, Mighty and Ray were actually being considered for the modern game, as well as, of course, Team Chaotix, which we ended up getting.
I mean, that was still pretty early, though.
Vector was going to be kicked out.
Like, that was still pretty early, though, before they kind of firmly established who some of the core characters are, though.
Yeah, like at the time, they weren't sure if they were going to bring Shadow back, right. and so even with 6 teams, no Shadow, we could have avoided that Shadow the Hedgehog game. But then it turned out he's pretty popular, so
let's give him his own game.
Yeah, that worked out so well.
Well, we heard that Sonic fans want a Sonic game with guns, so here you go.
That's such a horrible game. That's such a.
I played it. It wasn't the worst Sonic game I've played.
I'm firmly on the fence that it is
worse.
I played Sonic Genesis on the Game Boy Advance. That was the absolute worst. That game is just purely broken. That game is fully broken. It didn't even work half the time.
So yeah.
Anyway, speaking of. Oh, well, not speaking of anything, really. There's no way.
Work on your segues, man.
No way to segue this. Paramount Pictures showed off the Sonic movie logo, which doesn't work too well for discussion, really. But you can see it here with Alex upside down. It's basically the Sonic logo we already know, real well. So
yep,
that's out. That's pretty much it. Hey, it's a logo.
They really want us to believe that they're making this thing.
So, I would like to reinforce the point.
Yeah, we know.
That this is not the first time this has happened this year. This is the second point where we've got the Sonic the Hedgehog announcement that is prior to absolutely revealing any content whatsoever, that they're just revealing a logo. The only benefit of this one is that in this case, they're releasing 100% of a logo instead of 20% of a logo.
Oh yeah, like we're recording this on May 4th, and we're recording this on May 4th, and we still don't know what that Sonic racing game is called.
I suspect it's going to be called Sonic Racing.
Yeah, something like that.
Cool subtitle.
I mean, maybe it's called Sonic Superstars Racing. Who knows?
I don't think there are enough letters in that to be Superstars Racing.
It might be Sonic and
logo.
Sonic All-Star Sonic. You don't know.
And I still hold out hope.
Maybe it's a Ray the Squirrel game.
And I still hold out hope that it's Pikachu in a sombrero.
Oh, it's never going to be Pikachu in a sombrero.
2018. Right. Where is that? I got Detective Pikachu. I got Surfing Pikachu. Where's Pikachu in a sombrero?
It's a Sega IP. Reef, ask them.
I think
it's a Nintendo IP.
No. Pikachu the sombrero is associated with Sonic 4 Episode 1. Therefore, it is a Sega IP.
Yeah, it is not.
Yes, it is.
Only in your mind there. All right, let's get this ball rolling. We got the our IDW discussion pretty much for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Sonic's number 1 through 4 have already sold out.
Nice.
And I think Sonic number 1 is like on second or third reprint, so it's doing really, really well.
I know that it was it's at least Sonic's third reprinting.
Right.
Apparently, this must be blowing IDW's expectations out of the water at this point.
Quite a bit. I mean, I already saw Evan Stanley's alternate covers for the number 4 reprints using Tangle. Some of which look really, really cool. I really like those.
I actually went to my comic store today to buy the ones I was missing because I bought the first one and I was like, oh crap. When am I going to actually be not working at a time when my comic store is opened that I could actually grab them? And apparently the answer to that is today. So I had to grab 3 and 4 because that's what they had. And then I had to buy 2 digitally just because they didn't have 2.
I just bought them all digitally today.
I technically only bought 4 digitally because my brother just can bring me because I don't have a comic book store anywhere near me. The closest one is in Glendale, and I'm like 10, 15 miles away from there.
He's
been giving me the other ones. I couldn't get that one, so that one I got digitally.
I have a comic book store like 10 minutes away from me, but I just don't want to have the clutter anymore. It's all on my iPad now.
Yeah, anyway, speaking of IDW Sonic, in a recent interview with Ian Flynn, he revealed that Styx, the Badger, will be coming in later in the comic. She'll likely show up at some point down the road. There's no specific date or anything.
Newsflash!
She's got future plans, but nothing concrete yet.
Newsflash! Ian Flynn has plans to include a Sonic character in his series.
Although
this is a Sonic character that's really associated with Sonic Boom the cartoon, and not really.
Yes,
I think we all
but this is Ian Flynn. Let's keep in mind. This is the man who gave us a Sonic Universe arc based off of Tails' Adventure and Tails' Sky Patrol.
That is true. That did happen.
Yeah.
We all experienced it. None of us can deny that it happened.
Yeah.
He made...
Seems that he's good at the deep cuts.
He made Wendy Damn Witchcart a relative to Ixis. The man is going to include all of the Sonic characters that he is able to, including a Sonic character who didn't exist until the remake of the arcade fighting game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Honey the cat.
I'm impressed he hasn't found a way to cram in Tira Bubowski yet. Like that's the level that he works on.
That's very true.
The games are finally catching up to him. It took long enough.
Oh, no. Here's the thing. Now he has the opportunity to redo all of the games.
Yeah,
because
the thing is that now he's basically been taken off the reins. He can do whatever he wants, and it's going to get pretty buck wild here.
Well, it depends. Like we don't know what limits Sega has on IDW for this. Like we kind of had a half of an idea whenever they were working with Archie what they could and couldn't do, but now I mean they could have revised based on whatever their current branding is for Sonic.
If you guys want to keep discussing, I gotta use the restroom real quick, so I'm just gonna be right back.
Nice.
Sorry.
I'm just going to say, and this won't make sense to anybody who is watching or who isn't watching the Twitch version, but Klex, you can shut your damn mouth.
Actually, I agree with that. I second that motion.
I like both of those things, but absolutely not.
Oh, hey,
I
you talking
know
about
your
his
stance on crossovers
My
there.
Little Pony crossover? Yeah. We're gonna do like My Little Pony and Transformers and G.I. Joe and Sonic and Star Trek.
I feel
Definitely
like
Star
Transformers
Trek.
and G.I. Joe have crossed over in the past.
We're gonna have Sonic and James C. Kirk trade punches.
Listen,
Ooh,
we already had the one cross. Listen, we already had the one crossover that actually matters, and Sonic got to race against Danica Patrick. I don't see why anybody else would want another crossover. We've already gotten the ideal scenario.
Look,
Man,
we
though,
all know how much you love
hey,
Danica
doesn't
Patrick,
doesn't IDW
you're very
also
wrong
do
about
doesn't IDW do some other kid stuff like
IDW does a ton of stuff. They
do they
do.
do Steven Universe?
No, that's
no, Kaboom.
yeah, that's
Curses!
Kaboom.
Damn.
They do DuckTales, I believe.
Ooh, Sonic meets the DuckTales.
I don't think they refer to themselves as the DuckTales. I don't.
Sonic meets Scrooge McDuck and Donald Duck, and they have a grand old time, and they I don't know, trade stories, and yeah, we're gonna have to just cross over everybody in IDW now, all for
So it's
Chris's
going to be like
benefit.
the Avengers, but with all the IDW properties. And who's going to be the big bad in that? Who's the big bad
Megatron.
that you whip out? Megatron?
Yeah,
I don't know,
Megatron.
I feel like Megatron's a little bit played out.
You know what?
Oh no, Megatron's never too played out. He's
You know
the
what?
biggest, baddest villain.
2018.
Let's just
I
have
think-
the.
No. We got to go with Unicron.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Fine, Unicron. And,
Sure.
Yeah, because
we can
you
have
gotta a threat
Galvatron
so bad that
as-
Megatron actually teams up with the good guys.
I was
or
just
that.
gonna say, let's just have the damn hat trick, have them buy the Mega Man comic rights, and just combine that with Wily again. Unicron,
man, I would
Unicron,
love
and
that.
Wily.
I would love for Ian Flynn to be able to continue his Mega Man Archie run. But,
I miss that Mega Man run. That was such a good comic. It was
yeah,
basically Astro Boy, and I freaking love Astro Boy. So
It basically was Astro Boy. I have to
as I understand it, was actually Capcom that killed it because they were doing that Mega Man TV show.
that in no way surprises me.
Which I'm not going to judge that too harshly because it is from a studio that's done some decent work in the past.
I don't know who the
But-
writing staff and stuff are, but I don't. The plot kind of has me uneasy. Now, admittedly, there I shouldn't say plot. I should say premise. But admittedly, there have been a lot of different versions of Mega Man who have existed in a lot of different ways. Like I'm not going to be the person to knock against Mega Man.exe, but it sounds real weird.
Isn't the premise just Mega Man goes to school and fights robots or something?
Mega Man goes to school, but he also has a tiny robot that lives inside of him and pilots him, I believe.
What? What? I haven't read that before. Okay. That is weird. Huh.
Now I need to make
Did
sure.
anyone remember that they rebooted Reboot? Speaking of things that shouldn't exist.
That does no. I don't even think that counts as a reboot.
And you know what? That also has Bob and Dot and Enzo, who make the last two make little cameo appearances.
That doesn't count as a reboot on multiple levels.
But it still has the characters from the original series. All the characters you know and love, plus a bunch of generic teenagers.
Okay, synopsis.
You don't know and don't love, and will never love.
Okay,
where the heck is Jason? Is he Jesus?
I don't know. I was a little bit quick, but I forgot that that Man of Action was involved with this, so maybe.
Solid stuff.
Preteen Aki Light must protect his home, Silicon City, from various villains as Mega Man, while simultaneously balancing his life as a regular robot boy attending school. He is aided by other characters such as Rush the Dog and Mega Mini.
Oh, Mega Mini is a different character, thank God.
Okay. That's what it's telling me, but...
Now, that's better.
As an outsider to this knowledge, is this a live-action show?
No, it's animated. I'm not a huge fan of the art that I've seen, but still, it's animated. So
I'm a little disappointed and extremely relieved.
Are you a little disappointed? Look at what they did to Reboot.
People suffer.
Oh, hey there, Jason. You fine?
Hello. Are we discussing the book now? I'm sorry about all that. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
We've actually been tormenting Chris with the prospect of IDW reboots, and then we went off onto a tangent about the Mega Man cartoon and reboot. The reboot.
Doctor Who is it?
That reboot looked horrible.
Oh yeah, I've heard it's quite horrible, but it has Dot and Enzo and Bob in it.
No, it doesn't. You're lying.
Yes, it does. I've seen them.
I
saw them in the YouTube clips.
Not my Bob. Not my Bob. Hashtag.
Oh yeah, he is a different voice actor, I think. So you could probably make that argument.
Your speech.
I think they killed the dog in the first or second episode, didn't they?
I would hope not. Why would they kill the dog?
Something like that. Anyway, all I saw was a YouTube thing about it. I
don't think any of us have actually legitimately watched that thing. I don't know.
So here's the question. How did you like the comic? What all was the Sonic in?
It was basically exactly what I expected from Ian Flynn.
Yeah.
A solid action comedy with a neat little bit of intrigue buried underneath, which will hopefully lead to something cool.
Yeah, the story itself seems a little slow moving. I mean, he's going to rescuing one village and meeting up with a character, going to the next village, meeting up with a character, rescuing them, going to the next village, rescuing the villagers, meeting up with another character, so on and so on, for 4 issues.
I will say that my favorite issue was issue 3, and that's not just because that was the one with Knuckles in it.
No, that's absolutely why.
It's also because that was the one with Rough and Tumble in it, and I like them.
I do like Rough and Tumble. They're kind of hilarious.
They have some nice synchronicity. What's the word?
Synchronicity.
Nice yeah, there we go. Synchronicity going on.
Synchronicity.
I knew I was missing a consonant.
We have Klex Yoshi bring in the idea that they have to reestablish the characters for a new audience, which it definitely feels true. Like that's kind of what this felt like, because as Jason said, it was go to place, meet significant Sonic character, and it's not necessarily meet this character as if this is the first time you've met this character ever. I think they know who their audience is, but it is kind of introduce who they are in relation to this version of Sonic, in relation to this version of the world.
Yeah, it's kind of a reintroduction. Like number 2, I loved what they did with Amy in number 2. She's not just some fangirl who's chasing after Sonic.
Amy is.
But they've established but they did establish that
in her own way.
I mean,
and she's kind of almost a leader in her own way too.
Jason, you might hate me for saying this, but Amy is New Sally.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to get to. That's exactly what I was going to say. She's New Sally.
I mean, the thing is that you're not wrong, but I really resent it, and so much so that it's going to affect my enjoyment of the comic, because I really enjoyed it, but I'm just like, oh, yep, that's the writing on the wall, and I'm just gonna have to live with this choice now.
Also, also, Amy is the most anime.
That is very true too.
Yeah, I will say that, like, at the very least, I do believe there was some basis for that characterization in the game, and I am so glad that they established that even though Knuckles was the commander, he wasn't really the guy who was running things, because that is not
still kind of an idiot.
Honestly, like, one thing I do enjoy about this comic is that it doesn't take any cues from the games in terms of Knuckles' characterization. Like, he's still not the brightest tool in this one, but he's not commanding anyone. He's just a guy who likes punching things. But
right,
my biggest complaint with these comics is that, I guess, is that there just isn't really a sense of place in this world yet. Like, where they're just going from generic unnamed town to generic unnamed town, rescuing random bystanders, and so it's like,
so anime.
It just feels like anime filler in that sense, where it's just like, we're not really bothering to establish any locations yet, or any deeper aspects to the world.
Is that your screen? Is that your wallpaper for your phone there?
No, that's just Comixology.
Rose, okay. I didn't know that. But in any case, I do hope that eventually we get some named places and we spend some time there, and they develop the world a bit more. As much as I enjoy the characters, we do need some of that.
I think we'll probably get that in the not too distant future, because I really feel like what they've done here is just establish that, hey, we have a comic now, and here's 4 of them, and it's only been a month, so this is going to get us on the map, and then we can kind of move forward from here, because I know that it's sort of like the introduction of the characters and everything, but I also feel like if they weren't doing 4 in 1 month, they might have actually upped the pace a little bit and kind of made it a little bit more world building. But since they're just dumping out 4 in a month, I think they just decided to go with the kind of fast paced action, not do too much with the actual world just yet route.
And I'll be honest, that did work pretty well. Like, I enjoyed the ride.
If it wasn't 4 in a month, I don't think it would have worked well. But I mean, I liked it. So far, it seems to be pretty attention grabbing.
For me, I kind of look at, and again, I'm about to say this, and then Klexiosi just says something right now. But yes, basically, I think one of the biggest problems with world building in this sense is that it is expected to directly follow the events of Sonic Forces, and the tough thing about Sonic Forces is, prior to that game, you could develop maybe half an idea of what the Sonic world was like. But Sonic Forces kind of wiped the slate clean, retconning, this is how this works, this is how this works, this is how this works, and it kind of breaks down what you think you might have known. It kind of turns into, if you care about the continuity, it kind of turns into a situation where these things in past games happened, but the context in which they happened changes slightly. We're dividing things up, and now there is this other world of just animal people who have these magical alien guns, and that's what we're working with from the beginning. And everything else is, I don't know, another world at this point. I think if they were going to base it following, I think if they were going to have it directly follow a game like they did, it's just very weird to have it start there, because that's the point in which that game doesn't firmly establish what its world building is.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see how tight of a leash they have on the how tight of a leash Sega has on the story of this comic, because I think going forward that's going to change things very dramatically one way or the other.
It would be nice, even though it's definitely not going to happen. It would be nice if Sega worked with him in determining how future game stories might progress to have
stop sucking.
To have some amount of not necessarily continuity, but maybe consistency. Kind of, in my mind, like how the Marvel movies and Marvel TV shows kind of have this one-way continuity where stuff kind of happens in parallel. But I think I'm asking too much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you are.
Not going to bother.
So I say one thing that bothered me in the issue 4, in which we had the introduction of Tangle, is I don't know if it was the art choice or whatever, but her tail goes from like this long to way out here this long, whenever she's
Jason,
around enemies.
Jason, do you care?
Maybe it's a video game logic thing, or I don't know.
Jason, do you care to explain to me how the physics work behind Tails' tails? Because I don't think that's the least realistic thing in this series based on the limitations of biology.
Yeah.
Right, like I said, it's probably just a video game thing.
I guess assume stretched. That's I didn't really put much thought into that.
I don't know. She's a lemur. You give her a superpower because that's what you do to create a Sonic character. You create the character and give it some sort of special power. Her power is that she has a tail because she's a lemur.
Do we even know why Blaze the Cat shoots fire?
Because
Her name's Blaze. That's why.
because it's just her name.
There is like a canon explanation, but I forget exactly what it is.
She has pyrokinesis. She can create fires with her mind. That's why.
I would imagine probably has something to do with that little jewel on her head. But I don't know. The games themselves have never said it. So.
The games themselves have never said anything about any character. Except for Silver, who we know an unnatural amount of, because we need to know the most about the most worthless character in the series.
Hey, he is not Tails, Chris.
I know, Tails is good.
No, Tails is worthless.
That must be because you really suck. Keep in mind, this is
in 16-bit Sonic games, Tails could die over and over if he's player 2 and not die.
Yes,
okay?
Tails
So
is only useful
he's invincible.
Tails is only useful when he is cannon fodder. Thank you, Jason.
I would like
he flies the plane.
I would like to reinforce that this is an opinion coming from a man who likes the Saturn 3D controller. So there's the baseline of good taste we're working from.
Oh, be quiet, you N64 controller lover. That thing's way worse.
I didn't say I love the N64 controller. I got a replacement for it that you also got.
Yeah. Because it's a
controller is way worse, though. Let's be frank here.
It is not.
The N64 controller has specific places where you can put your hands, and it's contoured. The Saturn 3D controller is a dinner plate with prongs.
The Saturn 3D controller literally 2 handles beneath the controller that you can grab onto, just like an Xbox 360 controller.
No, not like an Xbox 360 controller.
I mean, it's not shaped the same way, but shaped similarly enough. The 2 controllers are basically in the same design family.
But I digress.
Oh yeah, that was a major digression.
I'm surprised they never had a cow milking mini game out of that N64.
But I digress.
Like a cow
yes. Digressions. Let's stop.
But I digress is that we're at the end of the show, I believe, because that was our last topic.
I guess it's worth mentioning that we're actually going to get to see the introduction of Robotnik Eggman in the next issue, so that's probably worth noting. The plot that we've kind of gone through so far is that Robotnik's gone. He's been gone since the Sonic Forces War, and suddenly there's an increase of Badnik attacks. So, in that context, I mean, it is kind of interesting how they are kind of going directly off of the games that this is how we're going to introduce things. How so far? How do you kind of like the world that they have created, or at least built off of?
It's more character specific, it seems like now. There's not really much of a world per se to really grab onto in this
I mean,
4-part series so far.
It is very much in line of these character. It is a situation where you can feel Sonic has the bit of celebrity that you would expect.
Yeah, that's the one thing I noticed is that everyone's kind of fanning out about him. Like even Tangled is a big fangirl for Sonic. She kind of fangirls out about Blaze too.
Well, of course, Blaze is cool. She likes things on fire with her mind.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that?
And, I mean, apart from that, I mean, it's just... Do you think Forces is a good jumping off point for the comic?
No.
Like, honestly,
Let me put it another way. Do you think what little world we know of Forces is a good jumping off place based on the things it lifted from Forces?
I mean, I think Unleashed would have been a much better jumping off point, personally.
Well, you already had that though in Archie. That was supposed to be the reboot.
Yeah, I know, which is that's such a shame. But like, I don't know, like the worst thing about Forces, in my opinion, was the storyline. So I don't know. I don't really see that as an especially good place for you to jump off of, and I think that the comics were good in spite of that. Like, there is one interesting plot aspect that kind of worked coming off of Forces. That was Robotnik just had one of his biggest defeats yet, and so he's hiding. And but the robots that took over the world are still causing trouble. So that does allow you to kind of keep Eggman out of the story for a while, but still let his robots be an issue. But I don't know. Aside from that, I kind of wish that they had maybe just kind of ignored Forces and just, I don't know.
It'd be tough to ignore. I guess the issue is it would be
not just pretend that it doesn't happen, but I mean, like, take place far enough away from Forces that like you don't reference it. Kind of like how they're not referencing Colors or Unleashed.
Oh, they did reference Colors.
Yeah, they did.
Well, you didn't let me finish my sentence. You didn't let me finish my sentence. Aside from like some sort of vague. God damn it! You interrupted my train of thought. Colors doesn't come into this in the same way Forces does. Is what I'm trying to say here. Like Colors, they briefly mentioned the Wisp world, and that was it. Whereas Forces plays a huge role in where the plot is right now.
I kind of look at what you're discussing, and I will admit that maybe to a point, and I certainly don't really care for the story of Forces. I thought it was bland and weird, but I also look at it and think, well, in ending Forces, where does it put the world? And when I think of the Sonic stories I like, stories like some of the best parts of Archie, Sonic Sat-Am, it's the idea that Sonic is kind of the freedom fighter as part of a team of freedom fighters. And when I look at this, it establishes, hey, what was the consequence of Sonic Forces? Well, for a period of time, Eggman ruled the world. And they fought back against that. And it kind of puts us in an interestingly comparable place to where Archie was whenever it ended, in that it was less about just being it was about having the team. It was about the freedom fighter team who was organized in such a way that they were combating these little built up, I want to say compounds, or I guess they would say sub-bosses, or whatever terminology that they used, that there was kind of an organization and a structure to the Eggman Empire system, and it became a war of the forces of Acorn versus the general forces of Robotnik. So, in my sense, I kind of look at it and see this isn't too far from where I would want the series to be based on what I know I like about it and whatever I know good stories of it have come from.
I suppose. I guess would have. Since we're not going to have the original Freedom Fighters to begin with, I'd prefer they distance themselves from the concept a bit more than they have.
I think what'll be interesting is to see where they go from here. Do they try to follow things through like a little more closely to the game universe, or are they going to start to diverge kind of the way that Archie Sonic did eventually distance itself from the actual games, at least to a point? I mean, obviously.
I do hope they diverge, but I'm not really expecting it. I think Sega's probably going to be holding a tighter leash on that stuff.
They're probably not going to have that much opportunity to stay too close to the games, because one of the big things about Sonic Forces was that there is an assumed a series of events that would have to happen.
Not hearing anyone.
Alex, we can hear you. I don't know why you can't hear us, but there is assumed events that kind of have to happen prior to the events of Sonic Forces, such as the events of Sonic Adventure, basically Shadow existing, all of that kind of stuff. It would feel weird if they just go game again in the way that Flynn did with the Archie series.
Well, I can't hear anyone, so...
Then hang up and come on back. Hold on. I'm going to... Can kind of see on the video, I don't know why, but the camera seems to have died. Everyone else's microphone seems to have died. So, I guess I'm just going to wrap up the show. As always, you can catch Sonic Talk about once a month here on Twitch or over on the Sonic Stadium on YouTube. Jason Berry, occasional writer for Sonic Stadium, same with Alex Peel. Otherwise, myself, you can occasionally catch right here on Twitch under the username The Spin Dash, all one word. I will occasionally have Reef with me to discuss things, as well as occasionally other guests. And beyond that, I think we're going to call it a night. So I'm going to say peace. I'm assuming everyone else is going to say the same. Thanks for watching if you watched. Thanks for listening if you listened. And we will hopefully catch you next month with more discussion here on Sonic Talk. Take care, everyone.